So before Tuesday's practice, I was just going along with the flow as the team was preparing for their first game that kicks off in 3 days. By the time I was done attending practice Tuesday morning, I'm not sure how I'm going to make it through the rest of the week until we get till Saturday. I've got your latest practice report coming up, and that's what's coming up now on Locked On USC.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thanks for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you are watching on YouTube or wherever you download your podcast, we are free, and I so much appreciate you coming along for the ride. Without you, this show is just a waste of my time, as well as yours. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend so they can hit that subscribe button. If you got some feedback, let me know what you like about the show. Tell me what you don't like about the show. I've got some pretty thick skin, and some of you haven't been hesitant to let me know what I need to work on and improve, and that's okay. That's how we get better. So I had prior obligations last week while the team was going through their mock week of practice. So Tuesday was my first day back, as well as the media, because we were, as you know, I've spoken about this many times. We get shut out quite often. Last weekend was one of them. And I didn't realize how much I missed going to practices, even with that limited access. And it's because of the stuff that happens before the horn sounds and the music starts playing. When I say before the horn sounds, when you hear that loud horn blaring, practice has officially started. And prior to the horn going off, telling everybody, hey, it's time to get going, you got the music going out over the loudspeakers. So if anyone's familiar with my practice reports over there on wearesc.com, you know it's all about observations and the little things that tend to get overlooked. You also know that I like to be early. And I come from the philosophy that if you're on time, you're late. I like to be somewhere early. And it kind of pays off sometimes. This early bird has a really cool anecdote that I'm going to share with you that took place today on my way to practice. So Clark Stroud is the director of football operations. He is literally Lincoln Riley's right-hand man. Nothing happens in that program without Lincoln and Clark talking about it. He's kind of like his conciliatory, however you pronounce that stupid word. He's his advisor, his consultant. And something to note was, well, I'm going to get back to that. So I'm walking to practice, and I'm actually on my phone, kind of looking at some emails, and all of a sudden, Clark walks up behind me and walks up to me and says, "Hey, got a cup of Joe? You're ready to go." And yeah, my coffee is very important to me in the morning. So it was kind of neat that he recognized that. As we were kind of just taking our time walking towards Heritage Hall, idle chit chat. I said, you ready? Yada, yada, yada. And I mentioned to him, I said, one of the things that I really have noticed so far about Lincoln Riley is that, you always get the regular coach speak. But when he's talking, you can actually tell there's some genuineness to it. And you can kind of filter through the coach speak and really pick out what isn't. And he's like, yeah, that's who Lincoln is. He's really not going to soft soap or sugarcoat things. He'll protect his players, to a certain extent, but what you get when Lincoln is talking is who he really is. I mentioned to him that, there's a really big energy waiting for this game to start. And I said, Clark, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but when USC is winning, they own LA, and that includes the professional teams. And he kind of gave me a look like, whatever. I said, let me put this into context for you. When Pete Carroll was coaching, and during their halcyon years, that 2004, 2005, 2003 to 2005, where, they had the 34-game winning streak, a couple of national championships, Heismans were coming out of everywhere. Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush literally had to have their own private security detail getting them to and from practices. And he's like, really? It was that bad? I was like, yeah, that's what it's like in this town when USC football is winning. So imagine USC football winning in a similar fashion with Lincoln Riley as the head coach. And you've got NIL now to help you guys out. Imagine how you guys can be kings and prince makers in this town when you're winning. So at this point, we literally had just arrived at the ramp that heads down to the McKay Center, and he just like, all right, dude, give me a fist bump. Let's blank and go. And he was on his way in to get started for his day. So I know I was pumped up. I think I had him appreciating a little bit more of the power of USC when they're winning, and the fans are like, they're waiting for this. They know that there's an opportunity for, obviously you're not going to recapture what Pete did. That was a very special time, but Lincoln and the staff have an opportunity right now to do it, maybe not to that extent, but to really grab the city of LA's attention and show them what USC can be again. The other thing that I noticed when I got to practice today was the lack of players that were unavailable for practice, aka hanging out on Rehab Island, and that's a really, really good thing. The only there was only one O lineman of note that I'll bring up, and that's because I alluded to it on a previous show that depth might be affected. So Jason Rodriguez is on the shelf right now with a knee issue. Hopefully he'll be back in a couple of weeks. The rush end position has been one we've been keeping our eye on because it's been so on again, off again with available bodies. So real quickly, Romello lost his yellow jersey, and he was 100% ready to go today. It looks like he's going to be at least first team rotation rush end for this first game. Corey Foreman is looking fast, and he's making his way up that rotation. I think he's running with the twos right now solidly. And Solomon Tulipulotu, he's wearing a couple of the big, heavy knee braces that you see offensive linemen typically wear. He's out there now, and he's fully suited up, fully padded with the rest of the team on Tuesday. And we're hoping that he's going to get some run in this game. And then Julian Simon. This is a guy I want you to remember his name. He's been healthy since he's arrived at USC. And I think he might have found a new home with Roy Manning and that rush end group. Lincoln Riley always talks about who keeps working, and just eventually, they find themselves as a contributor as the season goes along. I think Julian Simon is going to fall into this category. I'm not saying he's a late developing player, but he's that type of player that Lincoln Riley refers to. Like, hey, you know what? You might not be first team or second team, and I might ask you to be a part of the scout team at one week to help get the team prepared, but you keep working and you're going to find yourself in the rotation eventually. I think Julian is going to be that guy. My hunch was right with Dejon Benton. I'm gonna follow this gut feeling I'm having right now as well. Team captains were released, after practice on Tuesday. Justin Dedich, Shane Lee, Caleb Williams, and Tuipulotu are your 4 team captains for this year. Justin Dedich probably deserves this more than anybody. I'm really happy for him. Personally, he's one of my favorite players. If you weren't aware of this, guys, Justin was a goalie in soccer in high school, and he also pole vaulted. So, 2 true stories. And like I said, if there's one player who truly deserves to be a team captain, who has put in more blood, sweat, and tears, I can't think of anybody who deserves it more than Justin. Tuli has just grown not only as a physical player, but his maturity has grown leaps and bounds. He is one of the more vocal, vociferous players you're going to find, and the fact that he's not afraid to lead by example and vocalize his feelings anymore, that's a great thing. Last year, I'm not going to rehash last year. I think I've spoken about it before. Justin is a team leader, and going into the last game against Cal is when he really personified himself. And I think that's what really, really stuck out in this coaching staff's mind, and wanted to make sure that he was a team captain. But the team voted on this. Caleb Williams, Shane Lee, the impact that these guys have had in the locker room cannot be overstated. So enough said on those guys. At the end of practice, I was able to ask Lincoln Riley about the depth chart and if there's any reluctance to release it as of today, Tuesday. And he said he didn't want to sound like a hypocrite because he's constantly telling the guys, hey, we're working hard on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So why should I release a depth chart before, these guys are done competing? They'll get a chance to kind of ease up a little bit on Thursday when they go back into, shells. But in a nutshell, the depth chart will be released on Wednesdays going forward every Wednesday per Coach Riley. So bet on that, and then head on over to betonline.net, because betonline.net is your number one source for all of your pro and college football betting needs and sports information this season. You can find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts, including this year's opening week games. That's a mouthful. BetOnline is also your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your sports, including Major League Baseball, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet online, where the game starts. Okay, so Alex Grinch, defense coordinator, he might not have everyone's total confidence 100%, at least from the fans, and there are still some skeptical in the media. But his players understand, and they have complete confidence in him. They understand what Grinch demands and when he wants more. Look, I think USC found as close of a facsimile to Coach Orgeron as they're going to find. There's only one Coach O, and there should only be one Coach O. But I think Grinch is a close replica. So if you like that old school, growling, grunting, it's never good enough type of coach who's willing to sprinkle in some colorful language, then Grinch is the right guy. And I think he's the right guy for this team right now. When you compare him to the previous staff, 180 degrees from what we've had recently. I'm not saying he's better or worse. He's just different, and I think he sends the right I think his message resonates really well right now. For instance, when the defense was doing their scout team work against, well, the ones and twos, and the regular defense was going up against the scout team offense, if a player messed up or if Grinch just didn't like the effort, the defense just stopped right there. He blew the whistle, stopped, dropped, did some push-ups. So that was, if his language and his way of speaking doesn't get the message across, the work, not the extra work, the work that you have to do to impress the coach will get the message across, or you will receive the message one way or another. If you really want to get one of the best and probably one of the most detailed analysis of Grinch's defense, when you're done here over on Locked On USC, head on over to wearesc.com and check out Kevin Bruce. Every week he's going to give you a detailed analysis breakdown. He's a former team captain and linebacker on John McKay's teams, and he can break this down so that even a Bruin can understand this. I mean, the guy just has a way about him. He really knows his X's and O's. So I encourage everybody, take advantage of that while you can. What you're going to find out is Grinch runs a 3-4, or, he likes to mesh it with like that 3-3-5 alignment that you see, that attacking style. He really likes, I think the biggest aspect of his defense is he likes athleticism. Fast, speedy guys. Now, with that said, we're going to see how that translates when the depth starts to get better, and I'm going to assume bigger. And when I say bigger, I'm talking, guys you want in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, especially as, the USC works their way towards the Big Ten Conference in a couple of years. You're going to need to get bigger. So, yeah, you still want to be fast and athletic, but you're going to have to start adding some girth down in those trenches. So we'll see how that goes. Again, this is the defense he has to work with now. He's kind of making lemonade, not out of lemons, but he's working with what he has. Remember, the class that Lincoln Riley brought in, very small freshman class, 12 guys, a big transfer portal. And I'm actually going to go over some of those players in our final segment here when I go over the depth chart. So, again, the defense, I think we're going to be okay. I said this before, they don't have to be great. Yeah, you want them to be great. You want them to be elite. You want to have a championship level defense. This year, they need to be serviceable. They need to be good enough to get off the field with more stops than the other team. You give Lincoln Riley's offense 2 or 3 extra opportunities to score, that should be enough to win the games you need to this year against this schedule. Okay, so looking forward to the depth chart that's going to be released Wednesday. I'm assuming after practice. I'm not really going to go out on a limb here, but I'm going to say that the O-line, the first string starting O-line that runs out on the field for that first series against Rice, left to right, Cortland Ford left tackle, Andrew Voorhees left guard, Brett Nylon at center, Justin Dedich right guard, Jonah Monheim at right tackle, and Bobby Haskins is going to be standing there on standby if somebody, one of those bookends, isn't getting the job done the way that Josh Henson, Lincoln Riley, or the staff believe they should be. Jordan Addison, Mario Williams, and Gary Bryant Jr., I believe, are going to be the 3 wide receivers. And I'm going to go with a split backfield. Travis Dye, Austin Jones, obviously Caleb Williams at quarterback. So there's your starting 11. I'm saying a split backfield only because that tight end H-back role is, I don't know how defined it is at the moment with the depth, with injuries. I did see Ethan Ray running some tight end. I'm not sure if it was scout team or not, but I did see him running some tight end today. Good to see. I think the wide receiver position, though, is going to see the most rotation throughout this first game. There's a lot to work with. And, and hopefully midway through the third quarter, pardon me, you're going to see the entire second string and backups playing through the rest of the game. I'm going to go backup O-line, left to right, Bobby Haskins, Gino Quinones, left guard, Andrew Malek at center. Right guard, this is where things are a little dicey with Jason Rodriguez on the bench with a knee injury. It's so hard for us to see what's going on with that offensive line group when they're over there in the far corner. But I think Mason Murphy is definitely your second string tackle at right tackle for the time being. He'll either be at left or right, depending on what side Bobby Haskins is rotating in on. And then I think Darwin Barlow at running back obviously is going to be able to pick up a good 50 to 60 yards worth of action in this game on the ground. He better be able to pick up that much. And I think we'll see him maybe even sooner than the third quarter. But if we listen to the way the coaches have been talking, they're looking for the workhorse type of guy. They're not looking to rotate running back. So we'll see how that plays out. Defense, I think your first string rotation is going to be rush and Romello Height, Tuli Tuipulotu, Dejon Benton, and I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit and say Brandon Peely is going to be lining up over the ball. Don't know why. I think they want to give it a shot. He's in shape. He's been putting in extra work after practice, getting some running in, yada, yada, yada. At linebackers, Shane Lee, Eric Gentry, and here's a name I'm going to put out there, Tuasivi Nomura. I think he's going to run with the ones. If not the ones, he's going to be with the twos. So if not Nomura, slide and Raylan Goforth. Your secondary, you're going to have Mekhi Blackman and Sierra Wright at corner. Max Williams, Kalen Bullock, and Jalen Smith will be your safety trio combo. I think we did see Max at free, Kalen in the box, and Jalen at nickel when they were going up against the scout team initially. A lot of safety movement back there. Grinch has to love the versatility he has with this group. Corey Foreman, I think, is going to be your second guy at the rush end. I mentioned Julian Simon a little while ago. Keep an eye on him. The linebackers are a little thin right now, so with Goforth and rotating in, you also see Rajon Davis. It's really important that the backups get as much work as they can in this game against Rice. They're going to need to be developed as the season goes on because attrition is going to hit this team. Injuries happen. Guys have got to get up to speed. Your second string, your D-line, I'm going Nick Figueroa, Tyrone Taleni, and Stanley Taufa'o. As far as your secondary, Jacoby Covington and Prophet Brown, I think will be your corners. Anthony Beavers, Marion Gordon at safety. And I'm not quite sure yet who they're going to slide in there at nickel. I got to see who's healthy tomorrow, Wednesday practice. I'm hoping Xavier Alford is going to be able to get in there. Maybe Fabian Ross is the guy. Who knows? You can check out the whole team for yourself on Saturday because Trojan Walk is back. And they're going to be starting at the top of the peristyle. So if you want to get there to welcome the team back for the 2022 season as they enter the Coliseum, marching down the peristyle, get there at 12:15 because the routine will be 2 hours and 45 minutes before kickoff. The team will arrive. So 3 p.m. kickoff against Rice. You want to form that human tunnel for the players, be there at 12:15. I'm going to be back tomorrow for another episode of Locked on USC because you get us 5 days a week. However, when you're done with this episode of Locked on USC, head on over to YouTube and check out you can go check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022. It's an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one ultimate NFL preview. You can search for your Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. All right, you know the routine. We're done here for this show. You've got Locked On USC as your first listen. You're going to go check out that Ultimate Pro Football Review 2022 at your earliest opportunity, and then you're going to head on over to wearesc.com. We've got a free 1-week subscription special. Check it out. Man, 3 more days, USC versus Rice. I cannot wait, and I'm sure you can't either. Until then, fight on, everybody.